XXXV. Reminiscences continued, Beowulf's last battle. He seeks then his chamber, singeth a woe song one for the other. All too extensive seemed homesteads and plains. So the helm of the Weders. Hrethel grieves for Heorot. Mindful of Heorot heart-sorrow carried, 5 stirred with emotion, nowise was able to wreak his ruin on the ruthless destroyer. He was unable to follow the warrior with hatred, with deeds that were direful, though dear he not held him. Then pressed by the pang this pain occasioned him, 10 he gave up glee, godlight elected, he left to his sons, as the man that is rich does, his land and fortress, when from life he departed. Strife between Swedes and Geats. Then was crime and hostility, twixt Swedes and Geatmen, or wide-stretching water-warring was mutual. 15 burdensome hatred, when Hrethel had perished, and Ongentheo's offspring were active and valiant, wished not to hold to peace over sea, but round Hriosnebeor often accomplished cruelest massacre. This my kinsman avenged, 20 the feud and fury, as T's found on inquiry, though one of them paid it with forfeit of life joys. Heathson's fall at Ravenswood. With price that was hard, the struggle became then fatal to Heathson, lord of the Geatmen. Then I heard that at morning one brother the other 25, with edges of irons egged on to murder. Where Ongentheo maketh onset on Eofor, the helmet crashed, the hoary-haired Sylfing sword-smitten fell, his hand then remembered feud-hate sufficient, refused not the death-blow. I requited him for the jewels he gave me. 30 the gems that he gave me, with jewel-bright sword I, quited in contest, as occasion was offered. Land he allowed me, life-joy at homestead manor to live on. Little he needed from Gepids or Danes, or in Sweden to look for 35 trooper less true, with treasure to buy him. Mongfoot soldiers ever in front I would hie me, alone in the vanguard, and evermore gladly warfare shall wage, while this weapon endureth that late and early often did serve me. Beowulf refers to his having slain Degrefen. 40 when I proved before heroes the slayer of Degrefen, knight of the Hugmen. He by no means was suffered to the king of the Frisians to carry the jewels, the breast decoration, but the banner possessor bowed in the battle, brave-mooded Atheling. 45 no weapon was slayer, but war grapple broke then the surge of his spirit, his body destroying. Now shall weapon's edge make war for the treasure, and hand and firm sword. Beowulf spake then, boast words uttered the latest occasion. He boasts of his youthful prowess, and declares himself still fearless. 50 I braved in my youth days battles unnumbered, still am I willing the struggle to look for, fame deeds perform, folk warden prudent, if the hateful despoiler forth from his cavern seeketh me out. Each of the heroes, 55 helm-bearers sturdy, he thereupon greeted. His last salutations. Beloved co-liegeman his last salutation. No brand would I bear, no blade for the dragon, wist I away my word boast to complish else with the monster, as with Grendel I did it. 60 but fire in the battle hot I expect there, furious flame burning. So I fixed on my body target and war mail. The ward of the barrow I'll not flee from a foot length, the foeman uncanny. At the wall, 'twill befall us as fate decreeth. Let fate decide between us. 65 each one's creator. I am eager in spirit, with the winged war hero to away with all boasting. Bide on the barrow, with Bernice protected. Wait ye here till the battle is over. Earls in armor, which of us two may better bear his disaster when the battle is over? 70 'tis no matter of yours, and man cannot do it, but me and me only, to measure his strength with the monster of malice, might deeds to accomplish. I with prowess shall gain the gold, or the battle direful deathwoe will drag off your ruler. 75 the mighty champion rose by his shield then, brave under helmet, in battle mail went he neath steep rising stone cliffs, the strength he relied on of one man alone, no work for a coward. Then he saw by the wall who a great many battles 80 had lived through, most worthy, when foot troops collided. The place of strife is described. Stone arches standing, stout-hearted champion, saw a brook from the barrow bubbling out thenceward. The flood of the fountain was fuming with war flame, not nigh to the horde, for season the briefest 85 could he brave, without burning, the abyss that was yawning, the drake was so fiery. The prince of the Weders caused then that words came from his bosom, so fierce was his fury. The firm-hearted shouted, His battle-clear voice came in resounding 90, 'neath the gray-colored stone. Stirred was his hatred. Beowulf calls out under the stone arches. The horde ward distinguished the speech of a man. Time was no longer to look out for friendship. The breath of the monster issued forth first, vapory war sweat, out of the stone cave. The terrible encounter. 95 The earth re-echoed. The earl 'neath the barrow lifted his shield, lord of the Geatmen towed the terrible stranger. The ring-twisted creature's heart was then ready to seek for a struggle. Beowulf brandishes his sword. The excellent battle king first brandished his weapon, 100 the ancient heirloom, of edges unblunted, to the death planners twain was terror from other. And stands against his shield. The lord of the troopers intrepidly stood then, gainst his high-rising shield, when the dragon coiled him. The dragon coils himself. Quickly together, in corslet he bided. 105 he went then in blazes, bended and striding, hasting him forward. His life and body the targe well protected, for time period shorter than wish demanded for the well-renowned leader, where he then for the first day was forced to be victor, 110 famous in battle, as fate had not willed it. The lord of the Geatmen uplifted his hand, then, smiting the fire drake with sword that was precious, that bright on the bone the blade edge did weaken, bit more feebly than his folk leader needed, 115 burdened with bale griefs. Then the barrow protector. The dragon rages. When the sword blow had fallen, was fierce in his spirit, flinging his fires, flamings of battle gleamed then afar, the gold friend of Weders. Beowulf's sword fails him. Boasted no conquests, his battle sword failed him 120 naked in conflict, as by no means it ought to long trusty weapon. 'Twas no slight undertaking that Ecgtheow's famous offspring would leave the Drake cavern's bottom. He must live in some region other than this, by the will of the dragon, 125, as each one of earthmen existence must forfeit. 'Twas early thereafter the excellent warriors. The combat is renewed. Met with each other. Anew and afresh the horde ward took heart, gasps, heaved then his bosom. The great hero is reduced to extremities. Sorrow he suffered encircled with fire 130, who the people erst governed. His companions by no means were banded about him, bairns of the princes. His comrades flee. With valorous spirit, but they sped to the forest, seeking for safety. The soul deeps of one were. Blood is thicker than water. Ruffled by care, kin love can never 135 aught in him waver who well doth consider. The clause 2520, 2, minus 2522, 1, rendered by Wistai. Monster, gr, followed by s, translates substantially as follows. If I knew how else I might combat the boastful defiance of the monster, the translation turns upon with gripan, a word not understood. B. Amends and translates. I will not flee the space of a foot from the guard of the barrow, but there shall be to us a fight at the wall, as fate decrees, each one's creator. The translation of this passage is based on Unslaw 2565, accepted by H. So in lieu of the long-standing Unglao. The former is taken as an edge. Limiting Sword, the latter as an edge. C. Guth signing, the good war king, rash with edges, brandished his sword, his old relic. The latter gives a more rhetorical Anglo-Saxon, poetical sentence.